Hey all, Natalie here for a cherry on top today, and I am doing a mixed media layout. I'm using this gorgeous new Prima collection called Painted Floral, and I'm going to throw on some of these 49 in Market Vintage Artistry Sky and Navy rub-on transfers. I love my rub-on transfers. And I'm going to do a watercolor background with Distress Oxides. So I have Lucky Clover, Evergreen Bough, Abandoned Coral, and Carved Pumpkin. Later on, I'll add a couple more, but that is a cut file. It's a free cut file that I got from Paige Evans' Facebook page. She always offers really great free cut files, and I cut it on my Cricut. And it's a playground. So I have 6 photos of my boys on the playground, and they have like a turquoisey green background. So that's kind of why I chose them to go with this collection. It's really bright and vibrant. Maybe not necessarily the types of photos you would think to scrapbook with this beautiful painted floral, but I'm going to use a lot of B-sides, but I go with the butterflies a lot. I'm going to throw a lot of butterflies on here. So, but you can see I'm flipping through to see which papers I want to use to back the cut file. I cut the cut file out in navy blue paper, and I'm choosing 2 orange papers and a turquoise. I go back in and I think about pull out a blue, and I think about using that. But once I sat down and did the backing, I decided, just because it was so small, I had cut it fairly small. I wanted to keep everything kind of central in the middle of the page. And so I didn't really need more than those 3 colors. So I'm going to start backing it here, but I won't make you watch the whole thing because that's boring. But this is how I do it. I just put a little bit of glue around the section I'm backing, and I cut around it. Everybody kind of probably has their own way of doing it, but this is just how I do it. So it's such a cute little cut file. And it's in Paige's group. It's called Paige's Happy Scrappy group, I think is what it's called. So here I am still cutting the top part, and it's done. There we go. So you can see I just used the striped, the grid, and the turquoise. And I left some blank spaces, and you'll be able to see the distress oxide background that I do behind in those cutouts. So I think about making florals come out from the playground too, and really kind of going a little off of the grid of what you would think, but I actually end up not doing the florals, and I just do a lot of butterflies. But I'm just playing around with it right now to see where I want to place all of the photos and how I want to put embellishments. And then I decide, let's go ahead and get started on the background. So I move all the photos and the die cut ephemera away so that I have no accidents. I don't want any little accidents with water or anything. So I'm going to start with the orange group. I'm basically just going to do orange on the right and blues and greens on the left. So I go in with my carved pumpkin and abandoned coral just right next to one another. I also tried this, what is it called? Sorry. It is a new color I just got, Wild Honey. And I thought that it does actually match the collection really well. But when I'm doing the watercolor and diluting it with the water, it was too yellow. So it matches some of the florals in the collection beautifully, but for the look I was going for on my background, which was oranges and blues, I did not like it. So I kind of just wiped it up there. I left some of it. I didn't try to scrub it up, but I actually went in with Crackling Campfire, which is a darker orange, like a burnt orange. But again, once I diluted, it actually became the perfect orange color of that grid paper that I used to back on the playground. Excuse me. And so I use a little tiny bit of Lucky Clover, and then a lot of Evergreen Bough. And I start, adding water to it, and I need more blue because it's a very turquoisey color. So I add in Mermaid Lagoon, and it gives me the absolute perfect color. And I do leave some of the sections a little bit green because I want it to be like multi-tonal, but adding in that Mermaid Lagoon was definitely a good call as far as matching the papers. So I'm just mixing those colors really well. And if I sound sick, I'm not. It's just 'tis the season of all the beautiful trees to bloom and the allergies to bloom as well. So that's what I got going on. I had to pause my voice over there for a sec. So I'm just adding a little bit more blue at the bottom because it was really faded out. And I know that part's going to stick out from my papers and everything, so I wanted it to show. adding a little more coral in the middle there as well, just to get, again, the variation and different tones of the two colors. So it's dried. You can see that it dries a lot lighter than what it initially looks like when it's still wet. I mixed a couple of the oranges together. I think the coral and the pumpkin, and then, or maybe the coral and the crackling campfire, I think. And I'm just using that to splatter all around the orange section. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the evergreen bough and the mermaid lagoon. You can see I'm doing that right there. Adding water, mixing it together to get the perfect turquoise color, and doing lots of big splatters. I've been doing a lot of little splatters with like a little brush lately, and so I kind of wanted to go a little bolder. And I'm going to use some of the rub-ons that are the navy blue to add additional splatter look. So it's just kind of like two ways that you can add splatters. This is adding actual watercolor splatters, and then later on we're going to add rub-on splatters. So if you're not so into the getting messy, these rub-ons are a fabulous way to achieve the same look without getting messy. And also, I didn't say this, but I did add clear gesso to this white cardstock before I started. So I'm loving the way that that looks with the cut file added back on top. Off screen, I added a white border, cardstock border to all my photos, and I rounded the corners, which is not something I typically do, but I just felt like that needed to happen to fit everything properly around the place set on this page. So I'm going to play with where I'm placing the photos a little bit here and how I'm grouping them together. I end up doing 3 groups of 2, and they form a visual triangle. And I've talked about this recently, and someone even asked me to explain it. And a lot of people, when they're designing things, they like to use odd numbers, groups of 3 or groups of 5 or even groups of 7 if it's something really big. But I love to create a visual triangle, which means I place something in 3 different sections on my page so that it kind of just, you could draw a line between the 3 and it makes a triangle. And that is visually appeasing to the eye in most cases. So when I say a visual triangle, that's what I mean. And so I have a visual triangle of 3 groups of photos on the page. Excuse me. And I will also do that with groups of butterflies, I think. So I went to the 49 Market rub-ons, and I grabbed, I think those little circles are supposed to be like seeds, like flower seeds. And then I grabbed the navy and the turquoise butterflies as well. So I also grabbed, there's the watercolor splatters that are from the rub-on sheet. So there's gorgeous navy, and I thought that that helped to bring the navy from the play set that I used to cut out the play set onto the background. So I love kind of layering these rub-ons. So I layered those seeds with the splatter, and then I'm going to throw that butterfly on there as well. And then I'm going to fussy cut butterflies. So I'm going to have 2D butterflies on the background, and then I'm going to have 3D butterflies as well, kind of layered atop or around the rub-on butterflies. So you can see that's what I'm doing there, or that technically is probably a moth. But these are fussy cut from the other side of one of those papers. Which one? I think it's the turquoise paper from the Painted Floral Prima 6x6 paper pad. And they are gorgeous. I got the ephemera pack as well, but these are just the perfect size for this page because I can add a lot of them, and they're kind of smaller than the pieces of ephemera. So that's why I chose to fussy cut those. And I could pick the colors that I wanted. And anyway, so I'm just kind of adding around the splatters and the seeds in different areas around my watercolor background in the areas where I already added the liquid splatter. And then I'm just grouping the butterflies, the rub-on butterflies around the page as well, just where you'll see them. Because a lot of the middle part is going to be covered up with the cut file and the photos. So I just wanted to make sure of where I was placing the photos before I placed the rub-on, so I didn't cover any of them up. And I am going to pop up 2 of the photos, like my favorite photos of each sun. And then I also decide to make it a trio, that magic number of 3. And I pop up the journaling as well, which I backed on that same orange paper that I used to do the slide. So I kind of made like some of the photos, I would put them straight up and down perpendicular, and then some of them I'll like catty corner crooked. And so that's just kind of a fun technique to do as well. I did the same thing 3 times. So repetition brings cohesion to the page. So right now I'm going to make this one straight up and down there, and then I'm going to set the second one on top. Okay, I cut out a lot of that. I just stuck all the photos down just as I told you. And I'm sticking the journaling up on foam as well. So now I have 3 photos or 3 sections stuck up on foam. And what's next here? I think I'm going to do the butterflies. Nope, I'm going to go grab a title. So I just grabbed some white, thicker alphas. They're foam alphas from my stash. And the title is going to be Playground Legends. And I'm going to lay it on top of the cut file, which is not necessarily something that I would typically do, but because it's white and it's not super distracting, I felt like it was okay to overlap on top, and I didn't really have a better place for it. And that's really the only reason I made that design choice. But I am using my T-square ruler to make sure that I kind of get it nice and lined up. And so, I don't know, I guess I feel like it helps draw your eye, like reading a book, from the top left across the page and then down, and then you finish the title and then you can go read your journaling. So I guess that was my thought process, maybe even subconsciously. This layout's on the blog at A Cherry on Top today, so make sure to go check it out. I'm going to put the link down below. I will also put my affiliate link if you would like to go grab any of these lovely pieces from the store. This painted floral set from Prima is so gorgeous, and as always, I love the rub-ons from 49 and Market. I always recommend those, and they hold up really well, and they rub on beautifully like butter. This part in the middle was a little too orange. It needed a little something else, so I added a few little rub-ons, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that one is from the ephemera. You can tell because it kind of has more white, and then you can see there it has some foil on it. So I'm just adding a little bit of rub-ons, and I'm going to add another turquoise rub-on there because that's the orange section, and then that big butterfly right in the center. I liked what that added to the page. And each of the butterflies that are 3D, I just stuck down the middle so that it looks like their wings are flapping. But that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And like I said, I'm going to put the link down below for A Cherry on Top if you'd like to shop or go check out all the details on the blog. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. Bye, y'all.